Donald Trump has ordered more extreme vetting for foreigners entering the U.S. after an Uzbek migrant drove the utility down a busy bike path in Manhattan, killing 8 people and injuring 11 in the worst act of terror in New York since the Twin Towers were toppled in 2001. After the 14-block rampage, which ended with Sayfullo Saipov crashing his vehicle into a school bus, the 29-year-old jumped out waving paintball and pellet guns, yelling Allahu Akbar, God is great. Police shot him in the abdomen, leaving him in a critical condition. This was an act of terror, and a particularly cowardly act of terror aimed at innocent civilians, aimed at people going about their lives who had no idea what was about to hit them, New York Mayor Bill de Blasio said. There were reports last night claiming handwritten notes in Arabic, pledging loyalty to Islamic State, along with an image of an ISIS flag, were found inside the rental vehicle which Saipov had hired an hour before the attack. The terror strike stunned New Yorkers and triggered a massive security crackdown across the city, which was full of parents and children in costumes about to attend an annual Halloween parade. Mr. Trump ordered the Department of Homeland Security to strengthen the country's extreme vetting program for foreigners, saying being politically correct is fine, but not for this. He said the killings were another attack by a very sick and deranged person. Not in the U.S. Hey! We must not allow ISIS to return, or enter our country after defeating them in the Middle East and elsewhere. Enough. People screamed and scattered as Saipov's ute was driven down a bike path just a few blocks from the World Trade Center in Manhattan at 3:05 p.m. on Tuesday 6:05 am yesterday AEDT when it was full of tourists and families enjoying a sunny autumn afternoon. I saw a lot of blood over there. A lot of people on the ground, said Chen Yu, an Uber driver. Eugene Duffy, a chef at a waterfront restaurant, said, so many police came, and they didn't know what was happening. People were screaming. FEMALEF were screaming at the top of their lungs. Some of the victims were struck in the back as the truck raced along 14 city blocks, hitting whoever was in its way. At least 6 of the victims were killed instantly, with locals throwing sheets over the bodies as mangled bicycles lay nearby. 5 of those killed were Argentinian tourists who had traveled to New York for a 30-year high school reunion. 1 Belgian citizen was also killed, but there were no reports of Australian casualties. Children in Halloween costumes were crying as schools in the area were locked down amid fears of a wide terrorist attack. Police say Saipov rented a ute in New Jersey at about 2 p.m. on Tuesday and began his deadly drive in Manhattan about an hour later. Eventually he crashed it into a school bus and jumped out brandishing his paintball and pellet guns until a policeman shot him. Emily, the 7th-grade student, was wearing Halloween cat ears and walking with her friends. She said her group turned and started running in the other direction when they saw Saipov. All the kids were screaming, "Run! Gun! Run inside," she told the New York Times. Officials said Saipov, who moved to the U.S. legally from Uzbekistan in 2010, had been working as an Uber driver for the past 6 months. He is believed to have lived in Tampa, Florida, but had recently been staying in New Jersey. Dilnozaya Abdusmadova, the family friend, said Saipov once lived in Ohio where he worked as a commercial truck driver. Mr. Abdusmadova told the Science in Atayankur newspaper Saipov was really calm. He always used to work, he said. He wouldn't go to parties or anything. He only used to come home and rest and leave and go back to work. He was arrested in Missouri over the traffic fine last year, but the FBI would not say if he was on their watch list for extremist behavior. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo said it appeared to be a lone wolf-style attack. There's no evidence that suggests a wider plot or a wider scheme, he said. Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull has expressed Australia's sadness at the terror attack in New York, saying it had only strengthened the government's determination to combat terrorism. I want to express our very great sadness at the terror attack in New York, Mr. Turnbull said in Israel. Our prayers and love are with the victims and we are resolved more than ever to defeat terrorism and keep our people safe. Mr. Turnbull said the government had recently completed the strategy to help prevent vehicle-based terrorism, an initiative which was ordered after the truck attack in Nice last year. He said Israel had assisted Australia in formulating that strategy and that the issue had been raised in discussions with Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.